Hi, so my name is Al Martinez, and for my Mexican History 125 class, I'm gonna be explaining how what was the actual impact of the Mexican Revolution. Here in this picture, you can see Porfirio Diaz, Mexico's long-standing dictator, and how he was ousted, and he's the cause of the revolution. So let's get an understanding of the overview. So everything started with the Plan of San Luis Potosí, Francisco Madero, when he demanded free elections in Mexico. And when Porfirio Diaz was stealing lands and distributing them to the privates, to the wealthies, to his administration. And now Mexico's revolution, it was really, I would describe it as peasant uprisings or various uprisings, because as you can see how we're gonna be describing all these four individuals. They were all fighting for really different causes in their states, as we're gonna see right now. For example, Villa, he was fighting. He was known for his Northern Division, originally from Chihuahua. It was inspired from Madero's plan, and he was successful. And you can say he was one of the most successful revolutionaries because he was a bandit, and he used the railroad road system extensively, so he was able to finance his military. Now, Emiliano Zapata, he was from Morelos, and he developed the Plan de Ayala and his Zapatista movement. So he was basically fighting in his plan. He wanted to reclaim the lost land of his people that were sold to sugar plantations or hacendados. And in his call, he united his people wanting to reclaim land. Now, in Carranza's Plan de Guadalupe, his followers were known as constitutionalists. And as we're going to see, he's the one that prevailed to lead Mexico's during the revolution. But he really didn't do much, because what we're going to see right now what he did. And right here in the caption, we see Pancho Villa with Emiliano Zapata, one of the most famous pictures of the revolution during that convention. So the outcomes: population decline. So this is not only due to the casualties, but also the lower birth rates, the increased immigration from Mexico to the U.S., and the lower living standards, such as, the unsanitary conditions during the war. Many people were acquired typhus. So immigration, not only to the poor, but also to the wealthy, like hacendados who were scared for their safety, who thought they were going to have everything taken away from them. And really, anything that required railroad passage, such as the mining industry from transporting silver, and such as factories who needed transportation of raw materials, it all declined because they were destroyed. Ships, the only thing that was prosperous was anything that was ship related, such as fishing, transportation of oil, bananas, and what we call henequen. Other than that, such as the mines and the silver, it was 40% below during the 1910 Porfirio Diaz reign. It was below 40%. And on decline in agriculture production, between 1910 and 1915, it was 24% down from what it originally was. Between 1910 and 1921, the cattle in Chihuahua, it went from 1.2 million to 60,000. That's a sharp decline. And inflation also was another problem, because to try to manage all these debts and everything, Villa and they try to print money. And the thing with printing money, it causes inflation. So the peso dollar, it went from roughly 23 pesos to being a dollar to 217 pesos. That's a big increase. And soldaderas, you can see right here, women of the revolution, Many took up arms, but others, they were like in the Red Cross. They were to cook. They were to be like nurses, I guess, to the soldiers. So the administration, during the Carranza administration, we see that he was promising reform. He didn't really promise reform. Yeah, he just changed his administration. Land reform was a big thing, and that's something all Mexicans wanted. And really, he didn't really do much. The one that did a lot, in my opinion, was Obregón and Calles, as well Cárdenas. But Carranza, he did establish the articles, and as we're gonna see right now, Article 3, he put everything in the hands of states, such as education levels. Article 27, it was the oil, oil, everything belonged to the government. And really, the land, everything was public utility for the government also. Article 123, it was something positive. It gave labor rights to people. And Article 83, it prohibited re-election. So that's something good that you can say he did. So now, Álvaro Obregón, as we're going to see right now, he established a few things. He was big on education, so big that he established a new cabinet post called the Secretary of Public Education, which basically oversaw the educational things, because the school attendance was below during Porfirio Diaz. Now, he not only this, but he also he did not really, he wasn't good on land reform because he felt that it would reduce production. So that's one thing people didn't like. Another thing would be social mobility for the middle class. He made it easier. And the military, he made it from the fighter to the protector. So, there wasn't war at this time. So he, in other words, they were just like overseers. He would send them to build highways or oversee the construction of highways. The military spending budget went from 61% to 36%. He also implemented this thing of choosing who would be the next successor, which is why he chose here as the caption, President Elias Calles. And something big on Calles, he created the first, I guess you can say, the first, I don't know how to say it, party of Mexico, the PRN, which is the National Revolutionary Party. And this was really, you can say, the start of a dictatorship, or the perfect dictatorship, in my opinion, because it was required for success if you wanted to be the next president, the next whatever. It was really to put in control the caudillos that were in there. It was to conserve power, not to compete against it. And the only problem with this is that it didn't represent workers or peasants or the middle class. It represented more the elites. Now, Cárdenas, after Calles, he was, I guess you can say, a dictator, because after he left office, he was still in charge of the presidency. He still administered. Now, Cárdenas, on the other hand, he ousted Calles. He put him into exile, and he created the PRM, which is the Mexican Revolutionary Party, which created 4 sectors: the peasants, military, labor, and popular sector. Now, he focused control on one individual instead of several individuals. He united one party. During his reign, he also distributed the most land, roughly 46 million acres, and established 3,000 schools. And a tradition he established was that he was going to select the successor, and he was going to relinquish all his power. No power whatsoever. Now, get into the society. So 71.4% of people in agriculture. And that was really more of the rural poor, I guess you can say, or the workers in 1921. Many of them, they couldn't revolt, or they couldn't do strikes, which is why the CROM was created, to ensure labor provision of the 1917 Constitution. Make sure that everything the 1917 Constitution under Carranza was enforced. But this didn't work out. So they created another one, which was the CTM, Mexican Workers Federation. As we can see here in the caption, the CTM. Now, the Mexican society, Land distribution, it was a big thing, but there were three views on how land should be distributed. The first view, well, it was the Zapatistas, Zapatista point of view, that land should be distributed as much as possible. They should, well, no, my bad. That's for the individuals. The first view, individuals decide they want as much land as possible, it should be given to them. Zapatista's view, the land taken away should be given back to them. Now the third point of view, the government decides how much land and to who the land should go. And this was very much controversy because, a big event, it was in 1936, 500 peasants were killed over land disputes in a 3-month period. But something else was ejidos versus privates. During this time, in the 1930s and 40s, ejidos had 17.3 million acres of land to harvest, while the privates only had 16.8 million. Among other things, I think you can say these are the major things that took place and during the Mexican Revolution and its impacts.